Lee Dundas, human rights attorney. We need to ensure the cure is not worse than the disease. Nearly 500 people were recently exposed to a COVID-positive asymptomatic carrier. 0 got sick. Asymptomatic carriers of COVID do not spread disease. That was a study on infectivity of asymptomatic SARS-CoV-2 carriers, May 13th, 2020. The CDC, a couple weeks ago, did a study where they looked at every single other study in the entire world on face mask wearing. And this is what they found. The CDC found, quote, no reduction in viral transmission with the use of face masks. That was non-pharmaceutical measures in non-healthcare settings, May 2020. There is absolutely 0 point in putting face masks on healthy or asymptomatic carriers. They do not work to stop the virus, and what they do is cut the oxygen hypoxically low. I want to note that within 72 hours of the mandatory mask order going into effect 9 days ago, we had not 1 but 2 people rendered unconscious in Orange County and 2 of your districts requiring Code 3 lights and sirens medical intervention. Let me explain to you what happens when people go down due to a loss of oxygen. They don't break their fall by putting a hand out like an average person does when they're headed south. What they do is they drop like a ton of bricks. Their skull hits first. A good case study is the elected Sacramento district attorney. Her son pulled a low back muscle. She went to the doctor. They gave him a shot. He passed out and he dropped so hard, so fast, his skull hit the floor. I quote from the SAC-B, his head slammed full force onto the floor, which was like concrete, the DA said. For a moment, I thought he was dead. He wasn't dead. He had suffered a severe skull fracture, and that left him permanently deaf in one ear. At the time, my son never called me mommy, but when he came to, he was crying, mommy, mommy, I want to go home. We lost 2 people unconscious in the first 3 days. As the temperatures continue to go up, this is only going to increase. There is a simple solution.
Thank you. Your time is up.
A simple solution. We make the order optional, not mandatory, recommended, and then we don't have the liability.
Next speaker, please.
Lee Dundas, attorney. I spoke earlier. I heard a lot of talk in response to your questions by the board about the science and the math. I didn't hear a single appointed health officer, not Chow and not Quick, speak to the 2 studies that are absolutely dispositive on the mask point. The first is the fact that nearly 500 people were not infected. There was 0 infection when they were exposed to somebody who had COVID but was not symptomatic. What we know is that asymptomatic carriers do not and cannot transmit the virus to others. And even if they could, the CDC on its own website came out with a study that said, we looked at all the studies worldwide, and there was no reduction in viral transmission from wearing face masks. Either one of those studies rips apart the order and all of the, frankly, pathetic justifications for that order that came out. I want you, at this point, to close your eyes, since you're probably to that point of wanting to do that anyway. And I want you to picture a TV ad coming out in your district. And that ad opens with a 911 dispatcher call. 911, what's the nature of your emergency? 911. And you hear a screaming, hysterical mother, oh my God, my 4-year-old can't breathe, oh my God. And she is on the floor of the Costco, in front of the doors in, and her 4-year-old child is not breathing. And then it cuts to a clip of me from the May 26th meeting warning that the only studies that are relevant are the fact that wearing masks drops your level of oxygen hypoxically low and precipitates losses of consciousness and fatalities. And then it cuts back to the screaming mother, and you see an off-duty fire guy, EMT in our county, going, ma'am, back up. I need to start CPR on your child. Ma'am, please back up. And then you cut to another film clip where I said last week, with all guns blazing, I am warning you, people will start dropping like flies, and you had best pray that they can be revived. And then you're going to see the OC board and the OC health department, but they didn't take that advice. And then you're going to cut to a final clip of this child being airlifted to some sort of neuro ICU, after which she is pronounced dead. This is not hypothetical. You lost 2 people in the first 3 days, you need, as the Board of Supervisors, to go pull those 911 calls. And you need to ask some very hard questions of the psychiatrist who forgot to disclose his AstraZeneca money and the Suboxone-writing woman who is making this order because it is not justified by the science. There is a simple answer to avoiding this liability freight train and this PR nightmare that will gut your careers, and that is to make the
Thank
order
you. Your
recommended,
time is up.
but not mandatory.